too shabby, sir. But dead, 007, dead.
Okay, this may take some convincing, but Never Say Never Again is one of the most underrated Bond movies, featuring the return of Sean Connery after saying
Never again.
And being the only time in history you could see 2 Bond movies in 1 year. Obviously there'd be an Eon Production Roger Moore film, debatably the best named Bond movie, but Never Say Never Again, named by Connery's wife, is not only the better of the 2, but one of the most underappreciated Bond films, period. The issues with this particular movie goes back to the production. As you may know, when Ian Fleming wrote the novel Thunderball, there was a lawsuit due to him clearly stealing ideas from Kevin McClory that they discussed for a Bond movie that never got made. But in the end, McClory rightfully won, getting the rights to the Thunderball story, thus being the reason they brought him in as a producer for that movie. So with that, Sean Connery back in, and the Empire Strikes Back director behind him, he was ready to remake it into Never Say Never Again. Not exactly a hard task, as Thunderball was a disappointing follow-up to Goldfinger. That was literally a perfect movie. Anybody who says otherwise is fucking nuts. And yeah, some do question Connery's decision coming back after saying he wouldn't, mainly because it gave him creative control. But to that, and the betrayal that some call this, he's Sean Connery. He made the decision that was best for him, as he always does, and that's all that matters. Medicine Man, Rising Sun, League of Extraordinary Gentlemen, all highly underrated, because they have Sean Connery. All this drama is ridiculous, Roger Moore is the worst Bond ever, a complete fucking joke. So I'm gonna explain to you why Never Say Never Again is the most underrated Bond movie, and why you should fucking appreciate it. Okay, so apparently some real stupid people don't know this, but given it's not an Eon production, obviously there can't be a gun barrel, and obviously the intro song has to be done differently. That is what it is. If you want to complain about it, you're a bitch, and let's not deny how great this song is.
Big trouble, but then I just could.
Easily putting the Octopussy intro to shame, and the way it plays as the opening scene takes place is the definition of innovation. Oh, but it's different, it's innovative. Who gives a shit? So the opening ends up being a training exercise, which he fails, and M, the definitive M, played by Edward Fox, is not too pleased.
Fanatical revolutionaries kidnap a millionaire's daughter and held her captive for 8 weeks. Of course she could have been brainwashed.
The way he's a complete asshole, making Bond go to a health clinic, having no faith in him whatsoever, is such a welcome change. Moneypenny is also brilliantly played by Pamela Salmon, again, probably the best. And given it's a health clinic and he's notably older, they actually acknowledge it. I mean, he still looks fucking great, but you have to appreciate them doing that.
Proper exercise, meditation, and hopefully spiritual enlightenment.
Barbara Carrara plays Fiona Blush, easily putting Fiona Volpe to shame, and even those who don't like this movie tend to say she's the best thing about it.
Bonjour. Bonjour. Box 274, and quickly, please.
She's a member of Spectre, and speaking of Spectre, how could you not love this new meeting room? No, not as big or villain-like, but isn't that childish? This is realism, and at that time, realism was desperately needed. We have a fantastic new Blofeld, played by Max von Sydow. I don't know if I'd say the very best, but definitely up there. And like Thunderball, the plan is to steal 2 nuclear warheads from the US Army, hide them somewhere, and use them to ransom the world. Now, because of Thunderball's mediocrity, I might prefer moving away from something like this, but you can't deny the simplicity. Luckily, Bond does not practically rape anybody in this one, and part of their plan to steal the nukes involves a guy they've given eye surgery to match the president's. It is a bit ridiculous, but compared to the original's plastic surgery nonsense, a step up. Some question this one scene when Bond for no reason pulls up the shades, immediately getting Fontana's attention, but I would say it's an age thing and quit nitpicking. The next day we have the first big superpowered henchman fight, and damn is it good. The weight's bouncing off of him, nobody in the clinic noticing, and the way it ends. How innovative is this? Throwing his own piss at him is hilarious, and if you want to say being impaled by the broken glass is unrealistic, he's old. He has to win somehow. I really love the angrier but still very reasonable M.
That is the kind of attitude that tempts me to suspend you, 007!
And the guy with the fake eyes uses them to fill the nuke dummies with live nuclear warheads. The way they're flown over looks decent enough, and that guy, no longer needed, is outlandishly killed. I like how the snake is pointless, as she just blows him up anyway. With the nukes in hand, Blofeld is now ransoming NATO. The video only showing the cat is hilarious. And despite M not being as nice in this, he still puts 007 on the job, proving in reality he means well.
Let's think of a more logical explanation, shall we?
This is development that the old M simply didn't have. Haven't really mentioned the main villain yet, Largo, but he's pretty damn cool. He changed his name to Maximilian. Can't deny how cool that is. He has a room where he spies on Domino, played by Kim Basinger. Another great character, again, definitive version. And speaking of definitive versions, our traditional gadget scene introduces the movie's cue.
You unscrew it, then stick it up your nose. It's for my sinus.
He's so fucking fun in this movie. Talk about updating a classic. You could complain they go to the Bahamas for no reason, as there's no lead mentioned in this movie. That's why you have the old movie. I mean, it's not that good, but the point of a remake, if you're gonna remake something, it means you don't have to explain that much. So please stop nitpicking and just enjoy this amazing film. At the same time, hit the like button down below and subscribe, because who else is putting you on to this film? Also check out the gaming channel for similar content, but with games, link in the description. So now we have fucking Mr. Bean as Bond's contact, in one of his earliest roles.
I took the precaution of not being followed.
And that's why you shouted my name across the harbor.
Pretty amazing, and what would be a legendary line, if not for being in this movie.
How reckless of me. I made you all wet.
Yes, but my martini's still dry.
So him and Blush engage in a unique sex scene. Don't know why he goes with her at all, or why they go scuba diving. Again, nitpicks we don't care about, but she tries to kill him with radio-controlled sharks in another amazing suspenseful scene. After yet another failed assassination, the Bahamas section is essentially done. May not do too much plot-wise, but you can't deny the great scenes. He heads to France, where Largo's boat is. You have a black Felix lighter, may not have meant much back then, but by today's standards, very important. And when Bond tails Domino, we have one of the best scenes in any Bond movie. Now you might be saying, how the fuck did she not see him? And to that I say,
you just don't get it because you're not smart enough.
This leads to a nice perverted scene to get info. And what happens next is, I don't even know how to describe how great this next scene is. A casino full of arcade machines, a Timothy Dalton look-alike, and something you will never ever see in an Eon Bond movie.
Target areas will light up on the map. Whoever hits them first with his laser beam.
That's right, he's competing against Largo in an 80s video game. What else can be said? I mean, this is when they were in. They couldn't ignore that. Similar to the way Moonraker had to cash in on Star Wars, we needed video games in this movie. And to those who find this fucking stupid, it shocks them, okay? There's tension. What an amazing idea this was. I just can't get over it. In the end, Bond wins, but he just wants to dance with Domino, no money or anything. And then we have one of the most emotional scenes in, again, any Bond movie. Remember that guy you got blown up earlier?
Your brother's dead.
The way they handle this may seem unempathetic, but in reality, it's the cold nature that makes it stand out. Somebody else dies too, but in the end, we can't talk about every great character in this. But Blush is behind it, so chase scene. It's the pinnacle of action in this movie. It really is. The music is fantastic. Blush does in the end outwit him, and demands that before she kill him, he write down that she was the best sex he ever had.
Well, to be perfectly honest, there was this girl in Philadelphia.
This character is so insane, you've gotta love it. It's so not an excuse to use the pen. And with another great character gone, Bond goes to visit Largo, basically given free roam of his boat. The following events are totally not stupid. Deliberately antagonizing Largo, getting a single out to M to know where he's going, and the place they're going is North Africa, for reasons that aren't important. Largo's not happy about Domino's betrayal, and sells her to some Arabs. Bond gets imprisoned too, in a tower, leading to the nukes finally getting brought up again, given all the great scenes it's easy to forget, and he finds out one of them is under the White House. Done off-screen surely, that's okay. So they escape on a horse. Yeah, the effects are a bit dated, but the fact that they threw a horse in the water for real makes up for it. Don't worry, it wasn't harmed. We find out the nuke we just learned about was disabled, thus being the reason it wasn't important. And the necklace Domino has, that is not a plot device, has the location of the tomb where the other nuke's hidden. It's kind of a sacred tomb, but him and Leiter blow the shit out of it anyway. The Navy comes in too, big shootout, epic stuff, but Largo gets away with the second nuke. Luckily, a handy well leads them right to where he is. And you know that stupid-ass, epic scuba fight from Thunderball? With the non-impressive choreography that took no effort to make? Well, this movie gets around that dilemma of making something look big and epic underwater. Just don't do it. How easy was that? You've avoided all that nonsense, you've already seen it anyway. You can just forget about that big fight in the cave that's still happening, that's irrelevant. Instead, we can end the movie the only way it could ever end.
He fears for the security of the civilized world.
Never again.
Unless you count the From Russia with Love video game, but damn, what an underrated gem. There is no denying Never Say Never Again is one of the most overlooked, underappreciated Bond movies. Yeah, there's a couple issues, a few things aren't explained that much, some scenes are pointless, but unless you really get into the best of the best, Goldfinger, GoldenEye, Casino Royale, you can't really do much better than this Sean Connery classic. You can argue making it was wrong, say it shouldn't exist, give any bitchy excuse you want to give, an amazing movie is an amazing movie. Some of the best action scenes ever, the definitive versions of classic characters. If you avoided this because the fans said it's not a real Bond movie, correct that immediately, and check out one of the best Bond movies they ever made. Never Say Never Again is essential viewing. I'm the Analyst, and remember kids, happy April Fool's Day. So don't forget about morality and check out this amazing movie.